Hi guys, Thogrey here for a new video, and this video will be a Enhancement Shaman PvP guide video. Since I play a lot more Enhancement than Elemental, I'll prefer to give you an Enhancement PvP guide video since I like this class, I like this spec. There are a few defaults that you can maybe compensate with a few comps, but we will discuss about it at the end of the video. But first and foremost, we are going to discuss about talents, PvP talents, conduits, covenants, gear, and your legendary. And of course, we will discuss about burst rotations and which comps you can go for in 2s and in 3s to have maximum success. Enhancement Shaman has a bit of a learning curve. You should be aware that you are very squishy. You will probably burst every CD possible whenever they go for you, because if you're not like on the lookout for that burst, you might as well just die directly. So let's discuss about it right now. So we are back on my Enhancement Shaman, and I'm going to explain first and foremost my gear, because I have Doomwind's weak aura. You can pretty much know that I'm running for the Doomwind's legendary. So I'm going to talk about the gear. What I do is I try to have as much haste as possible, which is a stat that actually is very valuable for enhancement, because you are actually GCD capped on a lot of damage that you can do. The more haste you have, the more spells you can throw, the more spells you can throw, the more possibility you have to actually do a lot of damage. So that's why mastery is not a great stat to have, because 18% more damage is quite nice, but it is tied to nature damage, which is tied to ascendance, which is tied to a 3-minute CD. Storm Strike is a physical damage ability. Wind Fury is also a physical damage ability CD. Bloodlust is haste, which is going to upgrade your melee damage, which is going to upgrade your Wind Fury damage, which is going to increase your physical damage. So actually that mastery is very great if you go for an elemental build, if you're playing like the elemental spirits talent. But anywho, you're going for Doom Winds anyways. Doom Winds, which makes dropping Wind Fury Totem grants you 100% chance to gain Wind Fury Weapon and increase Wind Fury Weapon damage by 25% for 12 seconds. Which is actually insane, because it is a 1-minute CD. Again, what I'm trying to do in arenas is I try to not pop all my CDs in one big combo. Why? Because it is a noob macro. Noob macros make it that people that are actually aware of your CDs are just going to pop one defensive CD to annihilate your potential kill for that window. So if you go for Wind Fury Totem and Feral Spirits, for example, which is good, a good combination to have, then you have a lot of pressure and they need to pop, for example, bubbles or cloaking shadows or evasion. A lot of things they need to pop to actually survive your damage. Then, once the defensive CDs are over, you can go for Ascendance, and then of course Chain Harvest, which are your big 2 CDs where you want to one-shot people. And then of course you can go to Crash Lightning, Storm Strike, people die, for example, at that moment. Bloodlust, you can pop Bloodlust on you and a friend, which if you're playing trees, you will have loads of good combos to combine actually good damage with your warrior, with your monk, with your caster, for example. You have loads of possibilities as an enhancement shaman. So this is for the gear. Of course, you can go for double enchants on your weapons. You have Wind Fury weapon on your main hand. You have Flame Tongue weapon on your second hand, and you can switch between Lightning Shield and Earth Shield to actually juggle between Maelstrom regeneration, or of course healing on you, which is also an important stat to be aware of, since healing is your defensive actually capabilities. If you want to be able to actually compete in arenas, you will need to heal a lot of times your mate or yourself to stay alive. So let's talk about talents. We play with the first row of Forceful Winds. Why? Because Wind Fury causes each successive Wind Fury attack within 15 seconds to increase the damage of Wind Fury by 35% times 5, which makes 175% plus those 25% from Doom Winds, which makes 200%. It is times 3 for your Wind Fury weapon, so it's actually 1800 physical damage, and it is each, so it's times 2. So again, you're going to one-shot people because every attack is going to pop that Wind Fury enchant from your class, and which makes that actually people will die super fast. So we go for Storm Flurry because we are playing a Storm Strike build. Since you go for Doom Winds, the Storm Strike is one of your staple abilities that actually tries to give you as much damage as possible. Hot Hand is quite nice if you're playing the Lava Lash legendary or another build, but Storm Flurry is the only build that you can take for Doom Winds. We play with Earth Shield because Earth Shield is big for you because it's 20% increased healing on the target, and it is actually super good with your healing surge, which also gets boosted by your maelstrom weapons. Elemental Assault, Storm Strike damage is increased by 15%, but also now generates 1 stack of maelstrom weapon, which is also very, very interesting for you for your healing, or for your lightning bolts, or for your big chain harvest that can actually crit for 20k. And critting for 20k is always satisfying as an enhancement shaman. Nature's Guardian. When your health is brought below 35%, you instantly heal for 20% of your maximum health. I play this talent like 90% of the time, but if you play versus a priest that is actually Vente, I pretty much go for Feral Lunge because it gives you mobility, which is always nice as an enhancement shaman since you are quite mobility crept. But Nature's Guardian actually kills you because of mind games. So if you play versus anything except priest, then I would always play Nature's Guardian because of the survivability that it can give, and it is also linked to your Earth Shield. So if you have Earth Shield up while Nature's Guardian is going to proc, then you will get like 20% extra healing of the 20%. So it's pretty much like 4% extra, something like that, 5% extra, which is always noticeable whenever you're actually close to dying. I play with Sundering because I like the incapacitating on the enemy target. If I'm playing versus a caster with Grounding Totem, Sundering, Wind Shear, and other shenanigans, that guy can like literally for 10 seconds or 12 seconds not cast versus me, you know? So it's very big. It is actually a very good spell to have and to hit. I like Stormkeeper, but I feel like the damage is noticeable but forgettable. You can, of course, with your Maelstrom weapon, you have some synergy. But since they changed it to Chain Lightning, I feel like you can break so many CCs because of it that it's not really interesting. Crashing Storm is more for PvE. Ascendance, the big spell. You can only play with this if you go for Doom Winds. Gives you like a big burst window, but it's a 3-minute CD, so you need to be careful whenever you pop Ascendance. If really you want to pop Ascendance in early game, you should be aware that if they pop CDs, you need to hold on a few CDs of yours. Like Doom Winds is for me. You can combine it with Ascendants in late game whenever they don't have trinkets or defensive CDs. But if you combine those two and you get stopped because of a disarm, or you're getting stopped because of a stun, or a fear, or a blind, or they go for defensives, then you are actually losing the early game because of it. So that's why I'm trying not to combine those two big CDs together, because it is actually dangerous if they are actually aware of your damage. Sometimes they are not aware and then you kill them like in 2 hits with Chain Harvest too, but if that guy has like a brain cell and they know you pop Doom Winds, they should like run for their lives, and if you're popping Ascendants, then they need to CC you, else your healer is going to die like super quickly. Swelling Waves, I play in PvP talents because it's actually super good on shamans. It's combinable with the conduits that I'm going to discuss later. Um, Yeah, you can also remove it and go for Sky Fury Totem or for Ethereal form if they play like with very physical classes. A 45-second CD is actually super good instead of Astroph Shift, which is a 1.5-minute CD. Yeah, it's your choice, however you want to play with it. Ride the Lightning, also a great choice if you want to actually burst. But I feel like the damage is not lacking from enhancement, it's more the defensive capabilities that is actually lacking for shamans. Thunder Charge, I feel like Bloodlust is better for me. Um, Sky Fury Totem, you can play with it. It's maybe a little bit tricky to actually place it on a safe spot since you are a melee, but you can always make it work. Counter-Strike Totem, it is good, but people notice it super fast and they kill just the Counter-Strike Totem and pretty much they go on with their life. So I don't really play that much Counter-Strike Totem. Unleash Shield, I like it, but I feel like I don't have enough PvP talents to actually play it, and we don't have Water Shield, so we don't have the actual great reducing damage and healing by 50%, which is a shame, but we don't have it, so we don't. Spectral Recovery, I don't play it. Seasoned Winds, actually very great if you play versus a Destruction Warlock, since if you're going to Wind Shear the Chaos Bolt, you have like literally a 15% reduced damage from the Warlock, or from anyone actually. Um, Static Field Totem, I play it if I'm playing with a warrior, and often than not, people destroy the totem very fast, but if they don't notice it, they will take like the full damage from the warrior and me, for example. What I play is Shamanism, which gives you Bloodlust in Arena, gives you 20% haste for you and your teammates, and it is actually a very great spell. The only backside that you can have on Bloodlust, it is actually costing mana, and since your mana is your resource for defensives, you're actually giving up a healing surge. So, yeah, you need to use it in the beginning. You need to use it in middle of the match, for example, but don't use it when you are actually in defensives because you are not being able to heal yourself because of Bloodlust, for example, which is a shame. I play with Grounding Totem versus a caster comp or versus a melee caster comp. It is a very great totem, really. It can eat the whole Convoke for you. They can eat a lot of damage. You can even eat a Hajj from a paladin. You can eat a lot of spells. So it's actually life-saving for a shaman and life-saving for a team. So play Grounding Totem. But in melee matchups, I don't play it. Like for example, Warrior DH or Warrior DK, for example. I don't play Grounding Totem. I would play then Ride the Lightning or Sky Fury, or even Ethereal form if I feel like I'm going to die really quickly. So we are going to discuss now the Covenant. The only Covenant I see potential in PvP is of course Venthe. Chain Harvest is too strong, gives like a 5k shadow damage to up to 5 enemies, but the good thing about it, it is actually affected by Maelstrom, so it becomes 10k shadow damage if you have 5 stacks. And also 14k healing, so you have like a big burst healing. You should also know that Chain Harvest, when it crits, it does loads of damage, and it is affected by so many things that I'm going to discuss of course a bit later in the video. We go for Nadija the Mistblade. Why? Because Thrill Seeker gives you 20% extra haste, and whenever it ends, you will get then Fatal Flaw, which will give you 20% increased versatility in PvP, which is not like it's awesome. Like 20% increased versatility whenever you have like 34%. You are a machine, you're going to do a lot of damage. You should see it as a damage buff, but also a defensive. The colors that I'm playing are Focused Lightning, that will get buffed in Season 3. Gives you 2.5% extra healing or damage per stack from your Maelstrom weapon, so 5 stacks, which makes 12.5%, which gives you 112 9.5% on your damage or healing, which is super noticeable on Chain Harvest. You can pretty much just crit 20k with it if they don't pay attention. I play with, of course, Agent of Chaos, Totem Surge. It's basic, 7 seconds reduced on CDs for Tremor, Earthbind, and Capacitated Totem. Friends in low places, that's PvE. Vital Accretion, which is a very good conduit to play for the extra health that you can gain. If I pop it, for example, I will get then around 70k extra health, like 70k health for my shaman, which will probably be a pain to go through if you have a good healer or DPS. Unruly Winds, which gives you a third attack on Wind Fury, which also combined with the Doom Winds and the Wind Fury weapon gives you like unique great damage, and it can proc on itself, so it's like super strong. I would not never play without Unruly Winds. Again, it will also get buffed next patch. Familiar Predicaments, it is great for heals and hex, but often than not it's more of a caster conduit. Lavish Harvest, I play that because I like those Chain Harvest crits. Also, the more I crit, the less CD I will have on Chain Harvest. So it's a win-win situation. 30% is not that much, to be honest, but it will give me in total 30% crit on Chain Harvest, which is super noticeable in arenas. If you play without it, you will notice that you are actually not critting with Chain Harvest, or it's a lot harder to do. Nimble Steps, very strong, very annoying to deal with for actual casters and melees. Refreshing Waters, your healing surge is 20% more effective on yourself, which combined with the PvP talent Swelling Waves also gets the buff from Refreshing Waters, gives you insane healing. You can also play instead of a Chain Lavish Harvest, for example, or instead of Focus Lightning, you can play the Swirling Currents conduit. It is way more defensive, but gives you insane healing at the end of the world, at the end of the day. Using Healing Stream Totem, so this totem will increase your healing for your next 3 healing surges for 26%. So the healing that you will get if you are having 5 Maelstrom weapons, plus the Swelling Currents, plus Refreshing Waters, you can top from 1% to 100% with just one healing surge crit. So if you crit a healing surge, you can crit for 40k. If you have the Swirling Currents up and all those CDs up, you can do a lot of damage and a lot of healing because of those conduits. You can play also Teotar or General Draven, but for me Nadija is probably the best soulbind of the whole game. Close second for Plague Divisor from Necrolords, but this is really a great soulbind to have. So let's discuss about comps now. So when we are playing enhancement in twos, you should understand that you are a squishy DPS. So if you're playing with another DPS, you will be in healing duty more often than not. People will go for you, people will just pop CDs for you, and since they know you have like one defensive that gives you only 40% less damage uh, dealt, and that you cannot pop it when you're CC'd, you're pretty much screwed if you are not popping, like pre-popping those CDs before the burst. Um, so in twos, what I do, what I prefer is play with a healer. Often than not, the best healer that you can be combined with is a priest, because they have fear, they have the extra damage, but also the extra peel that they can actually use for you. You can also play with a resto druid. It's also harder to pull off. Um, I like priests, I like monks, I like holy paladins, but you cannot play with a resto shaman because it's overkill, and with a resto druid it's a little bit different, a little bit harder to play, since they will need to do a lot more damage with you to make people die. In trees you can play turbo, so you can play with a warrior, you can play with a mistweaver monk, you can even play with a DK I saw yesterday. You can play a lot of good comps that are actually melee cleaves, so you try to cleave all those people with your AoE damage. Uh, but I would not combine Enhancement Shaman with a Rogue, for example. Hunter will prefer other people instead of you. You can also play with classes, so you can play with a Distro Warlock, you can play with a Frost Mage, a Fire Mage too, but those are suboptimal combos. Would always prefer melees for my Shaman, just because of the sheer cleave that you can actually give to your teammates. And Mistweaver Monk will probably like your haste buff. Warrior will also like that haste buff. With a Retreat Paladin, the same haste buff will give them like loads of damage. DH, DK, the same. So I would stick with melee cleaves. And if you want to play twos with a DPS, I would play with a Retreat Paladin or a Boomkin or like another hybrid healing class, like a Shadow Priest, for example. I would probably not combine with a Warrior because you will both die super quickly. With a Rogue, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be harder for you. A Hunter too. So I would stick with big melee or big hybrids in your comps for twos and threes. So now we are on the target dummy, and we are going to discuss about rotations. Although rotations are not like PvE, you don't really have a button mash that you need to press all the time, or like a actual rotation that you always need to respect. Often than not, you have like just priority spells like Storm Strike whenever it comes up. I would always go for Frost Shock and Flame Shock to apply all the time, and of course Crash Lightning on demand for burst, but also for lightning bolts whenever you have like Maelstrom. I'm going to discuss about the burst that you can have. Often than not, what you can do is just pop Doom Winds with Feral Spirits to have huge burst damage. I'm going to show you right now. Even on the DPS meters, you are going to be impressed. If you are going to stick on the target, of course, but if you're sticking on the target, often than not, they are going to die. So I'm pressing all my CDs that I need for the burst. So lightning bolt on demand whenever you have Maelstrom, and of course, yeah, it's already over, and you have like 8k fucking DPS. Look at that. So Wind Fury attack, just Wind Fury attack did 50k damage. Storm Strike, of course, 23k, and then you have your Feral Spirits that do around 18k damage, and your Lightning Bolts. Whenever you have Maelstrom, you can put Lightning Bolts, which gives like 4k, 3k damage, like if you have defensives, and it can crit for around 6k and 8k damage, which is actually big for your rotation. Flame Tongue and Flame Lash and Lava Lash, those are like fillers that you can put on the target, and of course Crash Lightning just will give you more spread damage. But you can see, like in a few seconds, you can actually burst someone down just with Doom Winds and Wind Fury Totem and the Feral Spirits. And whenever they have like no CDs, like they have no CDs, like you put Doom Winds again, and then bam, you go for the little Ascendance, and then you go for Chain Harvest, bam, 14k, and you press a lot of buttons. It's not really super hard to do, really. It's just press Storm Strike whenever you can, and you have like 10k DPS. Like if someone has no CDs and you put all those CDs combined, people just die. And whenever they are wanting to cast or run away, you go for Sundering, 2 seconds incapacitate. You can go for the good old stun totem. You can then just slow them. And of course keep up your earth shield totem, your grounding totem. You can go for the earth shield, earth elemental, and then keep on your burst. I didn't even use bloodlust, so you can imagine the damage that you can actually provide for your team. Really, an Enhancement Shaman should be seen as a pure DPS class. You don't have too much control. Yes, you have Hex, but that don't, like often than not, don't really have the time to put out a Hex without getting kicked, because people are going to go for you. And whenever you're getting kicked on Hex, you're kind of naked, because your defensives are tied to your healing surge. Um, so yeah, I like it. You can also play with the Spirit's Walk to get out of roots, which is super big if you play versus a resto shaman or a little frost mage. So yeah, the damage is quite impressive, you know. Look, I mean, just because of one CD, it's, it's actually obnoxious. And then you can chain harvest, bam, you go for 33k here. So the damage is really impressive. But okay, this is a target dummy, so it doesn't have defensives. So 33k is probably not realizable for you, realistic for you. But if you go for 20k crits, people just fall over, you know. So this was my guide for Enhancement Shaman. It's a quite long guide, but I hope you learned something. You have timestamps below. Again, if you want to rewatch some parts, if you don't understand something that I explained, or you want to have a clarification, please let me know in the comments below. I actually respond quite quickly, and I try to help the most guys possible actually for this great spec that is an Enhancement Shaman. Of course, it is not easy to grind because the meta is actually demanding people that have great defensives. But shamans can actually provide you like big healings and also earth shields, defensives, bloodlust, great damage. You can go for healing stream totems, which can hit for a lot of health. So it's actually a very great class to play and a very great melee to play. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know in the comments below what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. You will see also some gameplay video about Enhancement Shaman, for of course, in the future. And we're trying to prepare for season 3 of Shadowlands, and it will be something very great. So I hope you enjoyed and have a great day. Bye.